might we want to or need to change with nature and health policy or programs? It might be that you are in your day job and be involved in particular behaviors. Anything that comes in mind, please do add to the chat or just reflect lively on your own. Read out a bit what's coming through. So we have this sense of really interesting, encouraging people to go out to nature, encourage active mobility, time in nature. This is sort of positive things, behavior, spending time in nature, being active. We have the negative ones, leaving litter. Yeah, that's right. Kind of, I guess, attitudes I see here to be separate from nature. Positive attitudes like protecting nature, nature connectedness. Not being scared to go to green spaces is a good one. In WHO, we kind of work on behavioral and cultural insights, and kind of it's a really good cultural, I guess, topic to think about how we interact with nature depending where we grew up. Practice sustainability, protecting biodiversity. Leaving a trace is a really good one. Habits I mentioned, so we'll go back to habits. So I move on a little bit, but those are, really interesting insights. And we can already see how in a broad topic we might be covering here. So most environment and health topics include a human behavioral component. Behavioral insights are important to promote the public's uptake of scheme. That's a really important part of that. So an uptake that requires a behavior change. So a good example is if we introduce a new transport scheme in a city. That's obviously an infrastructural kind of change. We might introduce a greenway, we might introduce a kind of new public transport system. But that requires the residents of these environments to change the behavior to whatever behavior dominated that previous environment. So usually in public health interventions that might include that we want to promote walking and cycling over car use. So it's not just that we change an environment, what we're really after is to change that behavior out of the car and into or onto a bike, say, or walking. Well, what some of you already mentioned here in kind of new suggestions for behavioral insights is that we also need these insights to promote public support for policy. So many of the programs we're involved with, and that's both at national level and on more regional level, is that we require our communities, residents, citizens to endorse these programs. So say tree planting schemes, flood prevention programs, kind of especially bigger infrastructural programs require that we have our residents, our communities on board with these changes. It's of course, because we want people to use them, but also often we do need their endorsement for politicians to feel that they can make these changes. And so the additional point I'm adding here is that for those of us interested in behavior change, we are really interested in what politicians think. So it's really important to secure political support. They're also members of the public, so it kind of fits within our general idea that we are interested in understanding community attitudes. So our elected members of national parliaments or of local government, they're members of the public. They often really reflect what members of the public are thinking, endorsing, or might be skeptical about. And to galvanize political actions, we have to kind of have them on board as much as kind of our ordinary citizens. So just kind of one example we can sort of hang on what I'll keep talking about here, just as a very basic example. Say we want to introduce as a scheme a city greenway as a nature-based solution. So those are kind of nature corridors that are introduced in urban settings. They might connect communities with each other. They might support more active travel, walking, cycling, wheeling between facilities. And they might have lots of different aims for city planners. So on the left-hand side here, you can see the public health aims that might be addressed through a greenway like this. So that might be that we deal with respiratory diseases with children in the city. We might deal with physical inactivity and obesity. We might deal with stress or mental health in the city population. But we might also, on a kind of environmental side, aim to, for example, deal with traffic congestion. We might want to address air pollution, noise pollution. A greenway might be a solution for flooding in an urban setting, or very poignant at the moment. Greenways are introduced to deal with heat islands in city settings. So these might be the kind of general aims we might have for putting in a greenway like this. But reflecting again, where we need to think about behavioral aspects of this, kind of underlaying this, there are all sorts of behaviors that we might need to pay attention to. So we might want positive attitudes towards walking and cycling. But this might be introduced in a setting where very few people cycle, or maybe kids don't learn from cycling or have cycle training at schools. Many of you mentioned in the chat that in a way we would like a certain nature affinity in our residents, people who appreciate the nature we're introducing into our settings. So nature connectedness might really help with this. And then there's sort of things we might not think immediately in terms of behavior change, but of course we need political support to introduce quite a major change like a greenway that takes up a lot of road space. We need the community buy-in, and then there are kind of things that might seem distal, but say quality maintenance. A good greenway is only one that's very usable and nice, that doesn't include lots of litter or maybe even dangerous, glass shards or so. So that involves a lot of kind of behavioral attitudes as well. So the qualitative research that I've been involved with, very place-based research, has been conducted in lots of different settings to understand behavior, attitudes, and preferences. I'll specifically give a few of these. So one example is that in one of the projects I've been involved with, we tried to understand awareness and perception that determines support for environmental schemes. And this was a Horizon Europe funded European project. It's called New Green. I think Ben Wheeler in his masterclass has mentioned before. So we aim to improve the evidence and tools for supporting incorporation of nature-based solutions in urban settings. That was across various European cities. And in our qualitative sub-study, we wanted to really understand sense of place and kind of computing space around street food, development, maintenance, and urban residents. But for this study, we aim to develop our understanding of how people perceive, interact with, and respond to nature-based solutions in their neighborhoods. And this was, as an example, in 3 European cities, in Paris, in France, in Aarhus, in Denmark, and in Melipegorica, in Croatia. The New Green project was interested in all kinds of nature-based solutions, but our little study particularly focused on fruit trees. Fruit trees have a really long history in urban design. They have social meaning and recognition as an urban feature for lots of residents. And that we felt holds for kind of settings that are really to nature-based solutions, because, as I said, street trees are this kind of quite old sort of nature infrastructure we all recognize. And people can also kind of talk about street trees even if they live in a city that doesn't have much street canopy or have an imagination of it. It's a bit harder to think about green roofs or deep paving or other sort of features we might see in nature-based solutions. We did focus groups for this in these different settings, and we actually started with a photo elicitation exercise. So we shared with our residents local street landscapes from each of their cities and asked for reflections on this. Also particularly focused on mental health initially, kind of just to remain in the kind of broad topic of nature-based solution and experiences of health and well-being. One of our findings was that street trees for people really provided touch points and connections with nature for people. It really helped them to develop a sense of place, to experience changing seasons, to experience biodiversity in their setting. And they really connected that to kind of positive experiences in mental health. So on the left-hand side is from one of the focus groups in Denmark. Someone saying, no, if I feel a bit depressed and confused in my life, there's a basic harm that trees can provide because they're simply there and I stand there. That's an inspiration to me. The foliage that attract life and wildlife, that's very inspirational. So we had lots of these stories, and this very much resonates with other research in that area. We also have really interesting stories in our focus groups that mental health also meant that it's not just about nature, experience nature, but street trees can help with kind of social well-being. This is from a focus group in Paris, where they said from old times we always knew that when we have trees, we have benches around them. That's very usual in France. But we also see more and more young people around it. So that's a good thing because it creates exchange between generations. It's a really nice example of the kind of broader social cultural connections we make from certain nature, and the kind of idea of an urban nature is definitely not something new and modern. It can be kind of a new connection to how cities function and urban spaces function. And yeah, great comments in the chat as well around that. We have sort of a flip side in our focus groups that nature could also challenge a sense of security, but poorly maintained street trees, and could also lead off the street trees quite a bit in general about parks and other nature as well in urban settings. And that there could also be sort of a sense of obscuring what you can see, that they can be sort of dangerous spaces in urban settings. And so that's from another group in Paris where people talk about certain spaces, particularly parks that might, where trees kind of provide sort of hiding spaces, kind of instead of kind of open parks that might have less trees, that are kind of more open light. You might have, I guess, places where you might feel unsafe, particularly women can be reported that they might feel unsafe. There are other stories that are more around kind of street trees and nature in urban settings that are not well maintained and create sort of slip hazards, for example, or might introduce athletes and sort of poor decisions are made with kind of street trees and might be in these settings. And then finally, what seemed really important in our focus groups was that street trees included kind of the way people kind of responded to street trees very much kind of related to how well the cities they lived in kind of involved them in decisions around the sort of urban nature programs. So this is from a focus group in Croatia, where people felt that they're not very, not consulted much in decisions. And here in the city of Rijeka, I can't remember when we ever asked the citizens, what should be done when we're just informed to see what's going on and what they're doing. Saying when a tree is cut, we're just, we don't know what this happened, how the city decided to cut the tree down. So it's an example of what people feel they want to be part of, and that's sort of decision-making in their cities. This was kind of further afield, a study we did around active living infrastructure in Jamaica. We're particularly more interested in cycleways and helping with the pedestrian walkways, but it also included infrastructure like floods and that might support physical activity. And this was particularly interesting study to see how active travel
might have been not necessarily culturally understand in a setting like that. So the first speech bubble there is from someone saying, probably in our culture, maybe in terms of constantly air conditioning, and that's because of our climate. But it was also found in this Swedish group that it is kind of wealthy